There's a picture of Jim with some of Benetech's clients. Now, Jim came up with this idea when he was an undergraduate studying engineering at the California Institute of Technologies, which is one of the best engineering schools in the United States. One of his professors was explaining the use of pattern recognition to guide smart bombs to destroy enemy airfields. Why not use pattern recognition for social good instead, Jim thought. He came up with the idea of applying the technology to recognize characters that read aloud to the blind. And the first of Jim's initiatives was the Arkenstone copying machine for the blind. The Arkenstone talking and reading systems are considered pioneers in their field, and to date they have delivered reading tools in 12 languages to over 75,000 disabled people living in 60 countries. Another Benetech technology, which is very interesting and quite different, is Martis. It's used by human rights groups as a way of capturing sensitive information about human rights abuses. It was developed through research conducted in Sri Lanka, Cambodia, Guatemala, Russia, and Eastern Europe. Benetech is also launching a project to develop a landmine detector. So you can see that these are actually responding to a market failure. No software developer is going to get a big profit for these things, but Jim is developing this to respond to market failure. The landmine detector is going to adapt existing technologies to aid in humanitarian landmine removal. And the device has the potential to significantly reduce the 1,000-year time frame projected as necessary for clearing the world's villages and farmlands of all mines. Similar to many social entrepreneurs, Benetech works with a wide variety of global and local companies, including IBM, Intel, Sony, Hewlett-Packard, and Sun Microsystems, just to name a few. Then there's Nick Francis, a serial entrepreneur. That's what we call entrepreneurs who keep generating more and more entrepreneurial activities. He started one of the most innovative and successful social enterprises in the UK and has now launched Easy Being Green in Australia, where he's lived for the past 5 years. Easy Being Green aggregates all the specialists and products necessary to make homes more environmentally friendly and reduce energy bills to the homeowner. Similar to all social entrepreneurs, Nick's vision is enormous. He wants to see 70% of Australian households reduce their energy and water consumption by 30% in the next 10 years. Now, like entrepreneurs world over, Easy Being Green started with zero capital, just a passion and a vision. In the last year, it has entered into an agreement with Australian New Zealand Bank, ANZ Bank, to offer financing for Easy Being Green's fees to all mortgages at no extra charge, giving some 12,000 new customers an incentive to sign up this year. Now, we're looking at a $30 billion market here, and Nick and those who invest in Easy Being Green have a good chance of being market leaders. Nick is also setting up businesses in California, and when I was with him just a couple of months ago in San Francisco, he had them so excited about the simple and innovative idea that he was able to raise about $500,000 just from U.S. investors. Now, the second company, very interestingly enough, and it's an example of why companies are looking at social entrepreneurs. They're looking at them as real innovators. The second company that's been interested in Easy Being Green's proposal is none other than Google, that is considering offering all of its employees to retrofit their homes, making them at least 30% more energy and water efficient to offset corporate greenhouse emissions. What's in it for Google? Well, its staff gets a capital investment in their homes of about $10,000. They cut their energy consumption costs, and their house is more comfortable as a result. Google gets to offset its company's emissions with a one-off investment that provides an annually recurring return. And it's able to offer its staff the possibility of being part of a great environmental initiative that will directly support each participating employee. And then I'll give you one last example, which I find very interesting, and certainly in this part of the world. Safia Mini. Safia started out in marketing in the UK. She was frustrated to see so much creative talent and advertising wasted on, as she called it, promoting rubbish. And basically, she committed to using her skills to promote environmental and social justice. When she moved to Japan at about 25 years of age, she founded People Tree, which now has a UK branch. People Tree is a fair trade company, and it works with more than 70 fashion and handicraft producer groups in India, Bangladesh, Nepal, and 17 countries throughout Latin America and Africa. These 70 producer groups provide work for 2,000 people, including family members, and it benefits totally around 10,000 people in those countries. PeopleTree is the very first company that has successfully demonstrated that even in the fast-moving, highly volatile fashion and garment industry, fair trade can hold its own. PeopleTree builds its image on being fashionable and high street. We always like to think of people dressing up in fair trade fashion as, well, you know, they're not as glamorous as they like, but at least they're fair trade. Well, Safia's flipped that whole model around. She's made it extremely attractive. She gets great clothes and teaches the producer groups how to really design top-of-the-notch wear that any, you know, clothes horse would be very excited about. To compete, of course, it works with producers at the grassroots level, giving them design and technical assistance based on traditional skills. Particularly in the garment industry, the need for fairer trade is huge. Most conventional retail buyers squeeze the manufacturers' prices to the levels that leave wages way below the poverty line. And in addition, smaller producer groups often don't have the capital that is needed to produce clothes, and they face local interest rates of 30% or more. PeopleTree is committed to paying advances and fair trade prices in the local context to overcome those barriers. PeopleTree has played a very important part in raising commercial awareness and building a strong fair trade movement in fashion throughout Japan. It already distributes its products through 500 different shops, and in 2004, its sales reached 6 million. This year, PeopleTree achieved a major breakthrough with the launch of a garment line in Selfridges, which is one of London's most prestigious fashion retail stores. And here, just to give you an example, is the PeopleTree, one of the PeopleTree stores in Tokyo. In addition to paying above market wages to producer groups, PeopleTree is also working to support organic cotton prices, controlling the dyes and using natural materials and appropriate technology in its products. Fair trade fashion makes no sense unless it also reduces the heavy ecological footprint of the textile industry. So, as you can see from these examples, social entrepreneurs undertake both public and private sector functions simultaneously. On the one hand, those 3 examples I gave you and many others work with those populations that governments have been unable to reach effectively or have ignored. On the other hand, they address market failure by providing access to private goods and services where business doesn't operate because the risks are too great and the financial rewards are too few. So with little market rewards or assistance, social entrepreneurs are actually reshaping the architecture for building sustainable and peaceful societies.